With Galgun Returns just around the corner, and lest you forget, with a gorgeous birthday suit edition still available for pre-order on the Rice Digital Store, it's a great time to look back on the previous instalments. Galgun Double Piece, second in the series but first to come west after Inti Creates' Matt Papa successfully championed the game to his colleagues in Japan, is full of particularly memorable moments. So let's take a look at some of the best. First up, Shinobu in the window. Probably Galgun Double Piece's most iconic sequence, Shinobu in the window was such a popular scene that Galgun 2 paid direct homage to it, much to the bewilderment of New Angel Risu. Shinobu in the window is one of several event scenes found throughout Galgun Double Piece. These all unfold primarily as a test of your shooting accuracy. You'll need to find hidden targets on the character's body and then hit them precisely, ideally without hitting the character themselves. Occasionally you can make faster progress through these scenes with touchscreen headpats and rubdy-rubs, but mostly they're about quickly tracking down your targets and then picking them off one by one. Shinobu in the window is probably the most straightforward of all these event scenes, since the targets move in predictable patterns and even overlap quite regularly. It also has the dubious honour of featuring the most suggestive gestural controls between each of the main stages of the event, requiring you to push and tug Shinobu in an attempt to get her out of her terrible predicament. Next up, Her Majesty Shinobu. Her Majesty Shinobu is another event scene that, mechanically speaking, unfolds very similarly to Shinobu in the window, albeit with slightly more challenging target patterns. The difference this time around is that the whole sequence is deliberately rather than coincidentally erotic. Possessed by the dark influence of Kurana the Devil, Shinobu decides to indulge in a bit of sadistic play, with protagonist Hodai on the receiving end. Naturally, in a situation like this, the only reasonable reaction is to just go along with it and try to survive as best you can. What you need to remember is that while Galgun Double Piece's narrative and mechanics are both strong and enjoyable, the game is still built on a firm foundation of lewd, and we should never forget that. And if this scene didn't awaken something you didn't know existed in at least some of you out there, you are a stronger man than I. Next up, the demon attracting Balm. Galgun's event scenes can be interpreted as somewhat metaphorical depictions of sexual encounters, and nowhere is that more apparent than in this scene, which features both Shinobu and her sister Maya in their swimsuits, repeatedly mentioning how nice it feels that Hodai is spreading sloppy, sticky, demon-attracting balm all over them. Once again, this event unfolds as a test of accuracy, but this time there are two characters on which to track down the targets, and the poses both of them adopt become increasingly provocative as the event progresses. If you don't believe me on the sex metaphor thing, just listen to the spoken Japanese dialogue as the scene unfolds. It may not be subtitled, but if you spend any time watching certain types of videos, then you'll likely find yourself recognising quite a few words and phrases. Next up, that bit where you steal all the Pantsu. There's a sequence in Galgun Returns where, begrudgingly having to go along with the devious plans of Little Devil Kurana, you're forced to sneak into the girls' changing rooms and steal all their Pantsu. Mechanically speaking, this is a challenge of observation and quick thinking, since many of the aforementioned pairs of underoos are hidden in lockers, plus the clandestine nature of the operation means that Hodai often needs to quickly change position in order to remain hidden. This whole scene is a great example of Galgun's use of comedy through camera angles. Although we never see Hodai himself over the course of the game, we can imagine what ridiculous contortions he must be putting himself through in order to obtain some of the perspectives we enjoy in levels like this. Next up, Mr. Demon Veggie. Galgun Double Piece's boss battles are probably where Inti Creates' game design chops are most obvious. Heavily pattern-based and often featuring puzzle-like elements as you figure out exactly what you have to do, they offer a fun challenge, particularly if you take them on in the score attack mode and try to beat them as quickly, accurately and safely as possible. Mr. Demon Veggie combines an enjoyable mechanic-centric boss battle with a bit of trademark lewd in there for good measure. There are also some nice running jokes in this scene, most notably the fact that Mr. Demon Veggie appears to have swallowed the long-suffering statue of Galgun Returns heroine Karuko, an item that turns up in all sorts of weird and wonderful places as the series progresses, as well as a body pillow featuring her likeness. Poor old Karako. She never gets the respect she deserves. To succeed in the battle against Mr. Demon Veggie, you'll need to show your skills in several key areas. Fending off Mr. Demon Veggie's attacks, blasting away as quickly as possible at the squishy internal organ that is holding Shinobu hostage, and fending off the tongue-like appendages that want nothing more than to give our heroine a good licking. Finally, the Patago Battle. If you've reached this point, you've done well. The battle with Patago comes at the conclusion of the Angel and Devil route through the game, and then only if you've made the right choices along the way. It was originally intended as a bit of series fan service for those who enjoyed the first game, since Patago is the main angel in the original Galgun, but it also makes for a fun, true finale in its own right. Like the Mr. Demon Veggie battle, your fight against Patago requires pattern recognition, quick reactions, and an ability to prioritise your targets effectively. It's one of the more challenging battles in the game, mostly from an endurance perspective since our angel friend doesn't want to go down without a fight, but if you can pull it off, you can well and truly call yourself a master of Galgun double piece. Well, at least until you get into the true love route, that is, but that's a whole other matter.